The very interesting thing about the index crop insurance is when it's bundled with agricultural inputs. And if I use the example of the organisation I work for, the International Maize and Wheat Improvement Centre, one of its initiatives is developing maize varieties for sub-Saharan Africa, which are drought tolerant. And these maize varieties are very likely to give not necessarily the best yield, but at least a yield in drought years, whilst farmers' varieties that they're currently using, they could well lose their whole harvest. But it does require that farmers purchase the seed of these improved varieties, and they haven't necessarily been buying inputs like maize varieties before. So you're asking them to fork out money to buy a product which they can't guarantee, they don't know how it's going to perform. And in order to reduce the risk and make the purchase of those varieties easier, the index insurance can be offered, so the farmer knows, he or she knows, that if for any reason there's a drought and yields go down, etc., that if they lose too much of the yield, they'll be compensated and they'll be able to cover what they spent on the crop itself. The index insurance does require a lot of explanation as to how it works, what it covers and what it doesn't cover. And I think it can be done effectively. Colleagues who have invested time, it is a slow process, working with farmers, really getting the explanations over, using very intuitive and interesting experimental games to judge the extent to which farmers would be prepared to take out these insurance schemes and making sure that they understand how they work and they don't work. Without that participation, that active farmer participation, I don't think we'll know how the product should be packaged and sold, and we won't know what the farmers' needs are, and if they don't know what they're buying, then we could be basically putting together something based on a recipe for disaster.